3 points of contact kept people alive on high steel. The fourth was time. Celia Dorn set her left boot, closed her right hand around wet support steel, and counted under her breath. 1, 2, 3. Cold water slid beneath her collar. Fog reduced the upper cage to a weak work light. 31 minutes remained. The lift beside her carried power. She felt its hum through the base, steady as a held breath. The travel alarm was dead. Dorian, confirm local status. Upper cage. Controls answer here, but somebody is leaning on the feed. Can they move the crane? They kept enough alive. How many with you is less than #0. 4# is greater than, I hear 2 outside the cage, maybe 3 below. Don't build a count from that. Wasn't planning to. Celia, the berth lane is blocked on purpose. The east tractor has no driver. The carrier is crosswise. I can see it. Then you can see why I called. I can see why you waited. I needed your eyes at the base. You knew the lift was compromised. I knew local control was wrong. Upper cage. Local control is gunfire cracked above him. Metal answered metal. Then his channel went empty. Dorian. Static. Nyx froze against the support column. The Beauceron turned her head left and watched Celia, one ear working harder than the other. You have movement, Celia asked. Nyx held the angle. Somewhere inside the steel, a foot or hand had disturbed the structure. The dog could give her the source, not the number or purpose. Celia listened again to the live hum and the missing alarm. Selective shutdown. Dorian's voice returned for half a second. Not a fault. They kept. Another shot cut him off. Refrigerated medical cargo waited beneath white lamps. 2-yard tractors blocked the access lane, and a container carrier sealed the terminal approach. Berth Road is blocked, Celia said. Can you see the east lane? Fog, maybe lights, no movement through. Lift control, local above. The transmission died again. Celia touched the call plate without pressing it. Its light was already on. Someone wanted the car available, or wanted her to trust it. A boot scraped behind the lift housing. Step into the car. A man called Hands, where I can see them. His first shot struck the base where Celia's ribs had been, scattering wet rust across her face. She pulled Nyx behind the support and moved the other way. Keeping the lift between them is less than #0. 5# is greater than doors open, he said. Make this easy. Your easy or mine. Inside. Now. You kept the lift powered for me. For whoever came first. Bad planning. I inspect before I ride. Then inspect it from inside. Who gave that order? The woman above. Stop talking and move. So she needs the car and the base clear. She needs you contained. Close enough. He tracked her around the housing, always steering her toward the same bright rectangle. The lift was a controlled room with one entrance. Celia waited for his next shot. The impact rang through the support, and she crossed the short exposed gap inside the sound. He cut after her. A loose maintenance panel shifted under his weight. Celia had noticed the lifted corner during the transfer inspection. She drew him across it, then changed direction as his boot tipped the panel and forced his balance sideways. Her shoulder drove him behind the lift housing. His weapon skidded under the car. He tried to rise. The panel had folded over his lower leg, not crushing it, only pinning him long enough to matter. Call your people, he said through his teeth. They're already here. Then they're late is less than #0. 4# is greater than Nyx held where Celia had placed her. Eyes fixed on Celia's hands. Celia reached the manual support entry. A messenger line groove marked the frame. A yellow light barrier handle showed through the fog. Nyx knew both from inspections. The medical cargo had not moved. No receiving vehicle waited beyond the blocked lane. Dorian, 2 taps if you hold the cage. A faint double knock traveled down the steel. Copy, Celia said. I'm taking the support. His answer came thin and dry. You always did prefer stairs, not stairs. Worse then. She pulled the support door closed behind Nix. Outside, the harbor had been broad and directionless. Inside, every footfall came back sharpened. Celia set her boot on the first rung. 1, 2, 3. A low woman's voice carried from above. Base is lost, Kest said. Do not recover him. Split them. Tube. Route down. Opposite side. Hold the angle. A man answered, Dog, with her. Keep it below the second landing. Dorn goes nowhere near the cage. One set of boots entered the enclosed route above Celia. Another moved across the far side of the support, slower and deliberate. The crew had lost the man at the base and changed its plan without hesitation. 2 hostile routes were descending towards Celia and Nix. The enclosed route brought the first man down. The second matched Celia's climb from the far side of the support. One above, she said into the channel. One opposite. Dorian answered through static. Opposite route bends at the next landing. Useful before or after he reaches me. Before, if you move. Nix pressed close at the lower landing and watched Celia's left hand. Hold. The dog stopped at the safe edge. Celia entered the service tube alone. Steel narrowed around her shoulders. Her breath came back warm and late. Celia, Dorian said. 3 hashes greater than, I hear him. I meant your breathing. Then stop listening. She set a boot, found the rail, and began the count. 1. A shadow crossed the landing above. 2. The alternate route rang under a hard step behind the wall. The crew was closing both exits. One man driving her upward, while the other cut across below. Celia reached for the third point and found air. The tube tightened around her. The old rule felt slow, almost childish. Move, the attacker said from above. You stay there, the dog pays for it. Don't use her to hurry me. I don't need to. The other route is already below you. Dorian cut in. He's lying about distance. How far? Close enough that I dislike the question. The attacker's shadow filled the landing. Last chance, back down. Celia tried to pull air past the narrowing in her chest. Nix, hold. The dog stayed at the boundary. Celia, Dorian said, finish the count. I know. Then say it. Movement came above her. She went before 3. He dropped onto the landing as Celia cleared the tube. His shoulder struck her before she had both feet under her, and the wall drove the breath from her lungs. Nix barked once below. Stay, Celia said. The man shoved her toward the tube mouth. Back down. Celia caught the rail, lost it, then caught it again. Echo multiplied every impact. Her count would not restart. 1, 2, nothing. Panic offered speed as relief. She took it. The attacker turned her rush aside. Celia's forearm crossed a torn edge of sheet metal. Fabric opened. Heat followed, then a hard pull beneath the cut from wrist to elbow. Her hand weakened before the pain fully arrived. She nearly fell backward into the tube. Celia, Dorian's voice sharpened. Arm. How bad is less than #0? 3 hash is greater than. Cut and pull. Grip is late. Can you load it? Not twice. Then stop giving him the same side. I'm busy finding a better one. The attacker heard the exchange. 1 hand. Tight tube. You're done. You should come closer and check. I am. Good. The man drove forward to push her past the landing and expose Nix. Celia stopped contesting his strength. The landing denied both of them room. She gave him 1 step, changed her weight, and let his forward drive carry him into the rail beside the tube. He struck it, recovered, and reached again. Celia blocked the route and forced him into the narrow gap. He remained conscious against the rail, but the confined position spoiled his attempt to rise. Stay down, she said. He laughed once, breathless. Your hand says otherwise. On the far side of the support, the second attacker stopped moving for a beat. He had heard the exchange. When he resumed, his steps slowed. He was learning what the first man had cost her. Blood ran under Celia's sleeve and slicked her fingers. She closed her hand. The grip arrived late and weaker than before. The protected route above had taken damage during the struggle. A bent section crowded the passage, and the torn edge waited where her injured arm would have to bear against it. "Can you clear it?" Dorian asked. "With 2 hands." "You have 2. One is decorative." "That joke means you're bleeding." "It means I'm annoyed." Same voice, different problem. "Can the alternate man reach the gallery?" "Not directly. He can pressure the boundary and watch you fail the bend." "Then don't use that route." I had reached that conclusion. Wanted it on record. "You don't have a record." "I have a cage and poor judgment." "Other route is less than #0. 3# is greater than holding above you." "Keep him listening." "You first." A strip from her torn sleeve became a rough wrap while she moved. It slowed the blood without returning strength. Nix came forward only when Celia signaled, nose low, eyes shifting between the fallen man and the alternate route. Dorian tapped the rail twice, then spoke, "Gallery under the cage, covered run, service drop at the far end." "Clear for me." "Low and shielded. Your arm won't make the bend." "Clear for Nix." "Yes." The alternate attacker shifted above the damaged passage, waiting on her weak side. She flexed her hand once. The fingers trembled open. Celia had won the landing and lost the route that made the climb survivable. She looked at the covered gallery beneath the landing, then at Nix. "Your turn," she said softly. The covered gallery was usable only by the dog. Nix stepped toward the covered gallery. Celia stopped her with one raised hand. "Wait." The shielded passage ran beneath the landing. Nix could cross it. Celia's delayed grip would fail in the first bend. The wrap had darkened. Her fingers closed halfway, then shook. The low opening demanded a bend the injured arm could not hold. Impacts from the alternate route reached the frame before the man appeared. Dorian's voice scraped through the channel. "Service drop is beneath my cage. Same line station as inspection days. You can receive it. If they let me keep one hand." A shot rang above him. That sounded generous. "They're improving." A second voice shouted near the cage, "Off the interlock, Beck." Dorian answered, "Come ask politely." Kest said, "Do not chase him inside. Keep his hands occupied." Celia heard Dorian's breathing change. "You have company. I have critics. Keep them talking is less than #0. 4# is greater than, your faith in my personality is touching." Behind the wall, the remaining assault man tested the damaged route with a measured step. "You hear him?" Celia asked. "Barely." "He hears me." "Then give him something dull." Celia drew the messenger line from its recess and showed Nix the familiar object, then the gallery opening. The dog leaned forward, waiting for the visible release. "Go." Nix took the line and disappeared into the covered run. Metal whispered as it followed her. The assault man moved. "Leave the gallery," he called, back to the tube. "You don't want the dog through?" Celia asked. "I want you away from the opening." "Different problem." "Kest, she's holding lower east." "Do not give me a guess," Kest answered. "Give me a band." "Lower east, gallery level. Keep her there." Celia set her good shoulder against the frame. "Come move me." He struck the boundary from the alternate side. The impact traveled through her injured arm, despite her effort to keep it close. "Status?" Dorian asked. "Busy. Lines moving." "Then stay useful." The man hit the frame again, trying to force her away from the opening rather than enter it. Celia gave ground by inches, changed the angle, and made him reset his feet on wet steel. "Second route is dead," he said. "You have nowhere above." "I noticed." "Dog comes back, I take it." Celia shifted her weight against the frame. "You'll have to get past me first." He pushed. She denied the opening and made him spend time. The line scrape ran beneath their impacts, steady and moving away. Above, another voice cut through the cage noise. "Keep the power live. Hold Beck off the interlock." Kest's words were low enough to sound conversational. A technical operator answered. "He's still on it." "Then keep him there. Is less than #0. 4# is greater than." Dorian tapped twice through the rail. "I heard that," Celia said. "Good. I'm running out of charming signals." The line stopped. For one bad second, Celia heard only her breath and the attacker's boot turning beyond the frame. Then 2 sharp knocks came down through the support. "Line received," Dorian said. "Interlock holds." "Tell me what the line gives you." "A way to signal if the channel dies. Nothing clever." "Good. I'm tired of clever. Power. Clean. They're protecting it better than they're protecting themselves." "That bother you?" "It should bother both of us. Is less than #0. 4# is greater than." "Can you stop local travel?" "Not while I hold this." "Then hold it." "That was the plan before you made it an order." "Plans improve when I repeat them." "That explains our old briefings." "Save the nostalgia." "I was saving it for the part where we survive." "Save your breath with it." From beyond the gallery opening came a clipped call. "Line showing. Lower East Band." The lookout had seen where the messenger line emerged, not Celia's exact position. Kest answered immediately. "Lower East. Shift the crane 5 degrees. Keep the cage covered." "You heard her," Celia asked. "Is less than #0. 4# is greater than." "I heard the part where my morning got worse." The attacker drove harder, trying to pin Celia before the structure changed. Her injured hand slipped off the frame. She caught the edge with the good one and turned her body across the opening. Nix was still inside the gallery. "Line is clear," Dorian said. "Send her back." "Nix." The dog reappeared at the gallery mouth with the loose line behind her and stopped on the safe floor. Celia touched her shoulder once, then faced the boundary again. The attacker committed past the edge. Celia let him enter the narrow space, checked his advance with the frame, and drove him back without chasing. He recovered on the far side, breathing hard and waiting for another chance. "Interlock?" Celia asked. "Held." A deep motor note changed beneath the live hum. "That's not me," Dorian said. The support shuddered. Fog lamps slid across the braces. The messenger line scraped at the service drop. The attacker widened his stance before Celia did. Kest had timed the warning. Kest had acted on the lookout's report. The crane began to reposition. The crane moved before the fog revealed the change. Steel groaned, and wind found a new path through the support. "Dorian, confirm command source." "Upper local. Kest owns the move." "Direction. West and up. She's changing your exposed face." "Container. Still on the berth." "Travel command." "None." "Could this be staging?" "It could." "You hesitated." "I checked before lying to you." "Try honesty next time." "I said it could." "That wasn't the question." Fog lamps slid behind new braces. Vibration reached Celia's injured arm. Nix widened her stance beside the gallery. The remaining pursuer did the same on the far side, braced before the movement arrived. Kest's voice carried from above. "Use the shift. Drive her off the lower route." The pursuer answered, "Dogs with her." "Separate them." "She can take exterior." "Then make exterior cost time." "What about the lower gate?" "Cross before she reaches the mark." Celia heard the order and looked at the yellow handle. Nix's eyes. The dog found her hand. "You see the mark?" Celia asked, though the answer would be movement, not words. "Wait for me is less than #0. 5# is greater than he." Came through the lower lane as the crane settled, using the sway to cover his approach. Celia saw the yellow pull handle beyond him, bright against wet steel. Nix knew it from routine inspections. The light barrier divided the lane. It could change who occupied which side. Celia caught the dog's eye and pointed to the mark, "Pull." The dog moved toward the familiar object, not the man. The pursuer turned after her. "Leave it," he snapped. Nix reached the handle and pulled. The lightweight barrier slid across the lane behind him with a flat metallic clap. It missed his body and closed between him and the next route. He spun and hit the barrier. Kest lower lane closed. For how long? Not long. Make it shorter. The latch is loaded against me. Then stop wasting both hands on it. Hold the lower sightline and report Dorn's route. She's at the ladder. Dog? Below her. Good. Keep it that way. Nix released the handle and returned to Celia. The pursuer worked the latch from the wrong side, denied the climb. Good, Celia said. Back. The dog stepped away from the barrier. Dorian's voice arrived over the channel. Crane is taking wind on the west face. Exterior route will move. Enclosed route. Faster. Celia looked at the narrow opening above. Her breath shortened before she touched it. And controlled, she said. Also that. The next ladder rose from the lower landing into open steel. Nix put her front feet against the first section and stopped. The vertical climb was beyond her. Celia had known the limit. Separation made it real. The open inner truss preserved a fog-cut sightline between the lower landing and upper path. You hold here, Celia said. Nix watched her hand. I know. Celia's voice came out tighter than she intended. I'm going up, you stay where I can see you. Dorian said, she'll hold. I didn't ask. You needed someone to say it. I needed the ladder to change shape. Out of my range. Nix, lower landing, stay. The dog settled her weight, but did not take her eyes off Celia. Dorian delayed before speaking. Celia. What? You don't have to make that sound easy. I'm not making anything easy. Her rough bandage slipped under her sleeve. The injured hand closed late around the rail and forced her to move more weight through the good side. The enclosed way waited above, quick and narrow. Celia set one boot, placed her good hand, and finished the rule, 1, 2, 3. Panic stayed close, shortening her breath, but the completed count gave her a decision she could trust. Taking exterior, she said. Slower by 90 seconds. Cabin margin? Shrinking. Useful number. Not yet. Then stop charging me for radio time. Kest's voice crossed the structure. She chose outside. Raise 5 more. Keep the lower man in place. The pursuer answered through the barrier. She left the dog. Watch the dog. Dorn is the threat. Dorn is already above me. Then report faster. Outside the support, wind pressed cold water through her clothes. The transfer route opened to the harbor, wind and empty space replacing the tube walls. Celia advanced by tested contacts, shifting weight away from the injured hand. Each pause widened the distance from Nix. Container? She asked. Dorian answered after a beat. No movement. You had to check twice? I wanted the answer to change. Below, the barrier rang under another impact. The pursuer had not escaped it. Celia reached the upper end of the exterior transfer. Through the truss, Nix held the lower landing and followed her with a fixed gaze. Stay, Celia said, showing the flat of her hand. Nix froze, then turned toward a section beneath the machinery deck. Her head lowered, her body angled left. Movement? Celia asked. Nix held the orientation. Steel carried a faint vibration under Celia's boots. Something had begun moving beneath the machinery deck. Celia crossed the last span and stepped onto the machinery deck before the movement below repeated. Warm air pooled around housings and pipes, trapped where the harbor wind could not strip it away. Her bandage had slipped. Each pulse pushed against the rough cloth, and the injured hand closed a fraction slower than the good one. Through the open inner truss, Nix remained visible on the lower landing. The dog faced the space beneath the deck, body rigid, head angled left. "Movement only," Celia said. Dorian answered, "Agreed." "You can feel it from the cage?" "Not clearly. Lower deck is eating the sound. Nix has a boundary, not a direction." "Then don't marry the direction." "I wasn't planning a ceremony." A faint vibration crossed the deck under Celia's boots, stopped, then returned farther along the warm steel. "Lateral," she said. Or reflected. "I know what I don't know." "Good. Keep that." Nix shifted her head as the vibration moved. Celia left the truss edge and advanced toward the bounded section. Her grip failed once on a rail, caught on the second attempt, and sent a thin pull of pain into her elbow. The counterclimber came through a side opening low and fast. He did not chase her body. He cut toward the upper approach and forced her to choose between him and the cabin route. "Deck contact," Celia said. "I hear you," Dorian replied. The man glanced past her. "Kest," she reached machinery. Kest's voice carried from above. "Keep her off the upper lane. Do not follow if she gives you the deck." "I can hold the approach." "Then hold it. Time matters more than her." Celia heard the priority in the order. The man was not there to finish her. He was there to spend her remaining minutes. He drove her toward a guardrail, keeping his body between Celia and the upper approach. She moved across the deck's narrow lanes instead of contesting him head-on. "Your arm is finished," he said. "Then stop watching it." He stepped toward the injured side anyway. Celia gave him the lane for half a breath. When he committed, she changed sides around a warm housing. His shoulder struck the casing instead of her. He recovered quickly and reached the upper line again. "Still moving," Dorian warned. "I see him." The counterclimber caught her shoulder and drove her against the rail. The loosened bandage tightened under her sleeve. Her injured hand opened, leaving the good hand to keep her upright. He tried to pass. Celia shifted her body into the lane and made him spend another second clearing it. When he turned back toward the approach, she redirected him into the narrow space between the housing and guardrail. He braced, fought free once, and reached for the root again. "Upper lane," Kest said. "You lose it. Fall back to the cage side." The man changed objective immediately. He stopped pressing Celia and lunged for the line above. She cut across before he reached it. Their contact drove her bad arm against the housing, but his route ended with his shoulder wedged between steel and rail. He could breathe and move, yet every attempt to follow required him to back away up she from the approach he had been ordered to hold. "Lane lost," he said. "Then deny her 10 seconds, Kest replied. "After that, preserve yourself." He kicked against the rail and nearly freed his shoulder. Celia leaned her good side into the opening until the 10 seconds passed. When she stepped away, he remained caught behind the housing, able to retreat, but unable to pursue her without surrendering distance. Nix's posture below relaxed as the steel-borne movements stopped. Celia had found its human source. Above the machinery deck, Kest appeared through a half-open threshold. She checked the upper approach before speaking. "Cadge team, narrow your angle. One stays on Beck, one watches the cabin line." A technical operator answered, "Drive is stable." "Keep it stable. Dorn does not reach the door." Dorian tapped twice from the upper cage. Cadence changed. Celia listened. A repeating machine rhythm moved through the deck, steady and almost ordinary. "Travel cycle." "Sounds like diagnostics." "Sounds like." "The timing is wrong for travel, but nothing is moving." "Cargo." "Still under the lamps." "Power." "Clean." "That explanation is getting expensive." "It hasn't collapsed yet." A harbor horn sounded beyond the fog, distant at first, then clearer from the crane's new height. Dorian went quiet. "Timing?" Celia asked. "Approaching." "What is?" "I don't know yet." "Then say that sooner." "I just did." "I don't know yet." The horn came again. The diagnostic cadence answered on nearly the same interval. Celia looked toward the threshold where Kest had placed one technical blocker between the machinery deck and the cabin route. The theft explanation had bent close to breaking. She still lacked the target. All she had was alignment beginning outside, the cargo refusing to move, and Kest spending people to protect height. The next harbor horn carried above the container stacks. Dorian spoke before it faded. Inbound naval logistics vessel, entering the channel window. Celia looked through the open side of the machinery deck. Fog thinned at this height, revealing a moving line of lights beyond the stacked cargo. Far below, the refrigerated container sat under the same white lamps. "Confirm the load," she said. "Stationary." The diagnostic cadence answered the horn, steady beneath her boots. "Travel command." "None." "Power state?" "Protected end to end." The vessel lights crossed the narrow sightline created by the crane's raised position. Celia felt the answer form in the same instant. The cadence tightened. "They didn't preserve the crane to steal the container," she said. Dorian's reply came late. "Celia, height is the objective. The vessel is the target." Dorian said, "I have the same line from the cage." "Can you prove the payload's purpose?" "No." "Can you prove the alignment?" "Yes." "That is enough to stop preserving the machine." She turned toward the upper approach. The concealed threat needed the crane's position and an uninterrupted window. Celia knew enough to change the cost. "Kill the drive." Dorian tapped twice against the cage rail. "That ends handling power." "I know." "The medical load loses its transfer window." "I know." "The crane may not restart." "Dorian, kill it." "You knew the service tube could break me when you called," Celia said. The accusation flat, with no breath left for anything larger. Dorian did not defend the decision. "Drive going." The machinery note deepened beneath her boots and pressed into her teeth. "Interlock holding?" Celia asked. "For as long as the drive fights it." "Position?" Still moving." "Stop it." "I am." The crane shuddered. Its deliberate travel slowed, caught, then lurched once more against the deadening drive. "Dorian?" "Almost." Below, one refrigeration alarm began calling across the berth. The drive note died. The crane stopped short, leaving the thin auxiliary hum. "Drive is gone," Dorian said. Below, the first refrigeration alarm spread into a second unit. The sound climbed the support in uneven pulses. "Cold chain is dropping," Dorian added. "How much time before loss?" "Not enough for estimates." "Payload?" "Active. I cannot reach it cleanly while Kest owns the cabin." "Can you prepare the disable?" "Yes." "Can you trigger without touching her control path?" "Not safely." "Then prepare and hold." "Prepare and wait." "For what?" "My confirmation." The remaining blocker stepped into the upper approach. He occupied the exposed lane beside the maintenance housing, keeping Celia below the cabin. "Route is closed," he said. "Move." "You have less than 4 minutes. I only need 1. Kest spoke from above. "Hold her below the door. Do not trade position for contact." The blocker obeyed. He retreated when Celia advanced, preserving the cabin line and forcing her toward the open truss. Celia's injured hand slipped from the first rail. She caught herself with the good one and lost another second. "Celia, he is buying time," Dorian said. "I heard his sales pitch." The blocker shifted around the housing. "You can't reach her with one hand." "I only need the route." "Same thing." He drove her shoulder toward the truss, then recovered to the cabin line before she could pass. Celia changed direction around the housing, using its 2 short lanes to force him to choose which opening to deny. "Left lane," Kest ordered. He turned left before Celia committed. Kest had the better angle from above. Celia feinted toward the exposed lane and drew his weight after her. When he corrected, she crossed behind the housing. He caught her shoulder and dragged the bad arm across the edge. The bandage loosened. Warm blood reached her palm. He recovered fast enough to block the cabin line again. 10 seconds, Kest said, then withdraw and seal. The blocker answered. "She is bleeding through the wrap." Use the delay, do not chase the injury. She keeps changing lanes. Then make her change twice. Celia heard the clock in the order. She drove into the cramped side, not to overpower him but to deny his retreat path. He turned to clear himself from the housing. The movement opened the upper line. Celia took it. He lunged after her and caught the back of her jacket. She braced with the good hand, pulled free, and left him in the dead space beside the housing. He could follow only by backing down and circling around, a delay neither he nor Kest could afford. Distant skikritsiats crawled along the blocked berth road below. They had reached the perimeter, nowhere near the vertical contest. Kest, lane lost, the blocker called. Withdraw, seal on me. Celia reached the final approach as the cabin door began closing. Dorian. I see it. Through one last slice of open truss, Nick stood far below. Celia showed a flat hand. The dog held the lower landing. Then the support took her from sight. The cabin sealed with a heavy mechanical lock. The diagnostic cadence tightened into an activation rhythm behind the door. 3 minutes, Dorian said. The drive? Dead. The payload? Active. You wait. I wait for confirmation. Celia put her good hand against the cabin door. Final activation had begun inside, and the cabin was the only target left. Celia pushed through the cabin door before the seal finished cycling. The cabin offered 4 anchors: door, right wall, console, and the control line between Celia and Kest. Red indicators pulsed. Kest stood beyond the console edge. Her left hand worked the controls. Her right guarded the narrow approach. Close the door, Kest said. Celia set her good hand against the frame. Step away from the console. You are late. 1. Kest shifted, cutting the line between door and console. 2. The third point disappeared. Panic drove the cabin walls inward and turned 3 minutes into one immediate failure. Celia rushed. Kest let her cross, then shifted off the control line. Celia's shoulder hit the frame. The injured forearm followed. The bandage split, reopening the same wound. Her grip vanished. Kest caught the failed entry at the shoulder and sent Celia into the right wall. Stay there. The rhythm continued. Celia tasted blood and pulled air through a chest that did not want to expand. Dorian's voice reached the channel. Celia. Inside. Status. Bad entry. Cabin clear. No. I wait. Kest returned one hand to the controls. You should have taken the lift. The cabin was never yours. You should have killed the alarm. I needed the crane believable. You kept it alive for this. I kept it useful. And your crew. They bought the time I required. Not enough. Kest checked the console, then Celia's bleeding hand. Your grip is gone. Every route you have left uses it. Celia tried to rise too quickly. The room tightened again. Stay down, Kest repeated. The vessel crosses and this ends. Celia watched from the wall. Kest kept one foot on the control line, one hand on the sequence, and the other ready for another rush. Celia placed her boot on the floor seam. 1, she whispered. Kest looked toward the sound. Do not. Celia set her good hand on the console edge, low and outside Kest's reach. 2. Kest left the controls and struck the injured side support. Pain folded Celia toward the wall. Panic quickened her breath and sealed the room around her. 3. This time Celia did not charge Kest. She crossed the control line and occupied the space Kest needed to work the console. Move, Kest said. Celia kept her good hand on the edge. No. Kest drove her shoulder into Celia's chest. Celia gave ground, then returned to the SIPS line before Kest could restore both hands to the sequence. One control tone dropped out. The activation rhythm stuttered. Dorian heard it. You broke continuity. Not enough. Kest struck the injured forearm against the console. Celia's fingers opened, and the red pulse steadied. Leave the line, Kest said. You cannot hold it. Celia shifted her good hand from the console edge to the wall, and denied Kest the straight step back to the controls. Kest abandoned the safest angle and drove Celia toward the door. "Door behind you," Kest said. "Bad arm to the wall, you have nowhere to turn." "I need one lane." "You lost it." "Then why are you off the console?" Kest struck the injured side again. "Because you are easier to remove than the delay." "Dorian, time." 2 minutes. 20. Kest pressed the bad side less. Her forearm failed on the brace. Blood slicked her palm. Kest reached past her toward the console. Celia blocked with the injured arm. Heat tore through the wound and emptied the hand. The choice bought one step. Celia turned Kest away from the controls. Kest recovered on the floor seam and drove them toward the door. "Open it," Kest ordered. Celia kept the door behind her closed. "No. You lose the arm either way. Then it's already spent." "Protect the arm," Kest said. "You keep choosing it." "Not this time." Kest attacked the support Celia had left. Celia hit the wall, lost the console line, and heard the activation rhythm climb. "Celia," Dorian said, 1 minute 50. "I know." Kest stepped toward the console. Celia completed the count silently, boot on seam, good hand on wall, shoulder across the control line. She moved before Kest could restore the sequence with both hands. Kest caught the injured forearm and forced it against the console edge. "Let it go," Kest said. "Save the arm." "Wrong priority. Your priority dies with you." Dorian's voice cut through. 1 minute 30. "Still waiting?" Celia asked. "For your confirmation." Panic narrowed her vision. She gave the arm to the contact and closed the route. Celia drove her good shoulder through Kest's route to the console. Kest struck the cabin wall, stayed upright, and tried to pivot back toward the controls. Celia followed, blocked the turn, and forced Kest down beside the door, both hands below the console. Kest kicked against the wall and rose to one knee. "Off me," she said. Celia held the position with her good side. The injured arm hung useless between them. Kest tried once more to stand. Her foot slid on the narrow floor seam. Celia shifted with her and kept her pinned against the lower wall, away from the console. Kest's hand opened and closed on empty air. "Dorian," Celia said. "Cabin clear." Celia watched Kest attempt to push up. The effort failed at the shoulder. Both hands stayed below the console edge. Celia moved Kest's reaching hand back to the floor and waded through one more breath. "Kest is down, cabin clear." "Confirmed?" Celia checked the door, the console line, and Kest's hands confirmed. Only then did Dorian act. A different tone moved through the cabin. The activation rhythm faltered, returned once, then stopped. Red indicators faded to a steady control glow. "Payload disabled," Dorian said. Celia lowered herself against the wall. Her knees shook. The cabin remained too small, and panic kept her breath shallow despite the silence. "Kest?" Dorian asked. "Unable to reach the controls." "Your arm?" Later. Another alarm rose from below, louder and rougher than the activation rhythm. Then a second refrigeration unit joined it. Dorian exhaled over the channel. "Cold chain." Celia listened as the alarms multiplied beneath the dead crane. Workers began shouting through the fog while blood worked through the ruined bandage. The refrigeration alarms reached the cabin before Celia found the strength to stand. Dorian's voice returned over the channel. "Lower work zone. Units are failing. Mara has the cargo open." "How many?" "She says come down before I guess." Celia left the cabin with her injured arm held close. The descent took longer than the climb had felt. Each contact tested through the good hand, while the bad one hung heavy beneath the ruined bandage. At the berth, cold air rolled from open refrigerated units and mixed with diesel wet steel and the sour heat of strained machinery. Mara Vale stood between damp cartons and a growing transfer line. "Stable lots first, warm cartons to the red marks, dead units stay shut." A worker lifted a hand. "2 pallets nearest the failed zone are warm. Read the indicators, not your palm." Both read. "Then write them off. Next row?" "Mixed." "Bring the labels to Celia." Security lights washed the blocked lane blue. Officers moved the remaining prisoners away from the cargo, while Mara kept the workers facing the open units. "Celia, sit," Mara said, pointing to a low equipment case, Kudzan priority, nothing heavier than paper. "I can stand. You can also bleed on my cartons. Sit." Celia sat. The cold case pressed through her clothes. Her injured hand released each label within seconds. Mara put the first carton in front of her. Destination: regional trauma stock. Priority: immediate. Send it. A worker repeated, trauma stock, transfer line. Next, Mara said. Insulin lot, indicator yellow. Time exposed. Unknown, the worker answered. Mara looked at Celia. Call it. Hold for verification. Do not mix it with stable stock. Yellow hold, the worker called. Cartons arrived one at a time. Celia read destination marks, temperature indicators, and priority bands while Mara turned each decision into movement. "These three go," Celia said. "That row doesn't." A worker held up the first rejected carton. "This one has a clean seal." "Seal does not erase the indicator," Mara said. "It is needed at the regional clinic." Celia read the code again. "The clinic needs usable medicine, not a hopeful label. Loss row." "Loss row," the worker repeated. Mara pointed. "Viable forward, loss row stays. Count it once." A worker answered. 4 rejected lots. 5, Celia corrected. The worker checked again. 5. Say the destinations. He read them back. Empty spaces appeared in places Celia could picture without seeing them. Mara made the next cut. Cancel the morning shift. A supervisor near the transfer line asked, "Afternoon?" "Cancel it, unless another berth gives us power." "The crane won't." "I can see the crane." "Both shifts canceled," he called. Celia's breathing caught when a metal door closed behind her. Panic returned in a cold wave. She kept one hand on the label stack until the sound passed. Mara noticed but did not name it. Next code. Celia read it. Dorian came from the upper structure with grease on his sleeves. He stopped beside Mara. "Where do you need me?" "Viable cartons to the transfer line. Failed units after. Drives mine damage and liability too." Mara handed him a carton. "Carry that before you carry the paperwork." He took it. "Where?" "Blue line. Get a readback." Dorian joined the workers. "Trauma stock, blue line." "Blue line confirmed," someone answered. He returned for the next carton. Mara met him with another. "You killed the drive?" "Yes." "On her order?" "Yes." "Then both names go on the damage report." "Put mine first." "I will put the facts first. Take the carton." Dorian accepted it. "Red line?" "Blue. Listen before guilt makes you useless." "Blue line," he called. Blue line confirmed. Nix came through the support opening, damp and careful around the moving workers. She stopped in front of Celia and checked her left side, eyes moving from the ruined bandage to Celia's face. "Here," Celia said. Nix touched the good hand once with her nose, then settled beside the equipment case where she could see the transfer path. Mara placed another label on Celia's knee. "This one. Antibiotic lot, yellow indicator. Save or lose. Save the sealed cartons, reject the opened case." Mara turned to the line. "Sealed forward. Open case to loss." "Sealed forward," the workers repeated. Dawn thinned the fog without improving the count. Mara called for totals. "Viable? 11 lots moving. Loss? 6 complete, 2 partial. Workers available. 14 now. 6 more when security clears the east lane. Do not wait for 6. Split 14 across blue and yellow." A worker asked, "What about the written-off units?" "Mark them and leave them closed. Fork access is blocked. Then hands carry what hands can carry. Nobody touches the dead drive." Dorian answered from the line. "Understood." Mara looked toward him. "I was speaking to everyone." "So was I." "Celia." She checked the list. "Correct. 1 yellow lot waiting." Mara nodded. "Keep it separate. We decide when the second reading comes." One refrigeration alarm cut out. Another kept sounding from a unit Mara had already written off. The supervisor near the road returned. Morning and afternoon crews are asking whether to report. Mara did not look up. Tell them both shifts are cancelled. Keep the cold chain team on call. Paid or unpaid. Paid until management decides to become stupid in writing. He nodded. Both shifts cancelled. Cold chain team on call. Dorian took the next viable carton. A worker read the destination back. Mara revised the count. Nix rested against Celia's boot while the transfer line passed medicine hand to hand beneath the silent crane, some moving toward use and some left behind.